Hey everybody, in this walkthrough we're going to go through the process of showing you how to edit and run Python programs in both Python 2 and Python 3 on a generic Linux installation. In this case I'm using Ubuntu, and you might notice here that I'm doing it in a virtual machine since I don't have a dedicated Linux machine, but the process should still be the same for you. This is just literally a plain Ubuntu installation, so yours might look a little bit different if you've tweaked it or installed some things after you got the system up and running. So the first thing we're going to do is open up a terminal window. So go to your main menu up here. You can just search terminal and click on that guy right there. I've made my font a little bit bigger for the screencast, but yours will look otherwise identical. While we have this open, I'm going to go over here and right click on the icon in the launcher and say lock to launcher. This way I'll be able to, even after I close it, it'll still be easily available to me there, so I don't have to go digging for it quite as deeply. So since we'll be using it quite a bit, it's nice to have it handy there. Okay, if you're not familiar with the command line in Linux, you're going to be using it quite a bit, so I encourage you to get familiar with it and just practice some commands and learn a few things at a time. Don't be afraid of it. It's going to be very helpful to you as a programmer. The first thing we're going to do is just see and verify that we actually have Python installed on this computer. Ubuntu definitely comes pre-installed with Python. Most other Linux distributions do as well. So you can see whether or not you have Python installed by typing Python space dash capital V. The capital V there stands for version. This will print out the version of Python. It says we have Python 2.7.11, which is great. We want Python 2 and 3 on this computer. Python 3 is often installed with the name Python 3 as the command, so let's check that one as well, the dash capital V. And we see that Python 3.5.1 is installed as well. So here we don't need to do any installation, which is great. Linux is great for providing a lot of these developer-friendly tools without the need to do anything crazy to install them. So if for some reason you don't have Python 2 or Python 3, the commands to do that, assuming you have the apt-get package manager, which every Debian-based installation of Linux has, you can type sudo apt-get install Python 2.7 and hit enter, and that would install Python 2.7, or you could correspondingly do Python 3.5 and hit enter, and that would install Python 3.5 for you. Okay, so we can run. We don't have any Python programs yet in our account, but we can still run Python. And so I'm going to do that by just typing Python and hitting enter, leaving off the dash V this time. And this brings me up to an interactive Python prompt. This is what's called often referred to as a REPL, R-E-P-L, which stands for read, evaluate, print, loop. And that just means that if I type something here, something pretty basic, that's Python code, and I hit enter, what's going to happen is the program is going to read that line, it's going to evaluate it, in other words, put it through the Python interpreter, it's going to print out the results, and then it's going to prompt me again. It's going to loop back to do the same thing again and again. So you can basically run one line of Python code at a time here in this little interactive Python shell environment, and this can be very useful for just trying things out. You can do things like you can create variables and prompts. I did something wrong there. Oh, this is because I'm in Python 2. So in Python 2, we actually need to use raw input. So there we go. Let's try this. And then I can say name. I can just type a variable, and it will print out the value of that variable. There we go. So remember that input and raw input are kind of the corresponding functions for Python 3 and Python 2. Okay. To exit out of this, just type exit with parens. That'll exit you out of the Python shell interactive environment. And you can do the same thing for Python 3 as well. Okay, great. So the next thing we want to be able to do is to run Python programs that we've written that are in files. So to do this, I'm going to go ahead and install the Atom editor. If you are comfortable with another code editor in Linux, feel free to use that. We're going to often refer to Atom because It's a really great editor, and it's also available across both Mac, Windows, and Linux. So we kind of generally use that in classes because we can tell everybody to install the same thing. And then when we're talking about settings or various things like that, everybody has the same sort of interface. So to install Atom, I can do that, but I need to do a little bit of work to get that onto my machine. So in particular, notice I have this little note down here at the bottom left. This is just my note for where I need to go to get Atom. I need to add a repository to the apt-get list of available repositories. So I say sudo add apt repository space ppa :web up d8 team /Atom. And this just basically came from, I believe I just got this information off of the Atom website. All right. There we go. All right, so it added the repository. Now I can sudo apt get update. That's going to fetch available packages from all of my repositories, including the new one. And then once this is done, I'll be able to install Atom. Okay, so sudo apt get install Atom. That will install Atom to my machine, including any dependencies that that it needs. Okay, great. Now that Atom's installed, I can go ahead and use it to create and edit some Python files. Let me first make a directory to store all of my code in. I strongly recommend that you have one directory, pretty high up in your user directory file tree that you use to store your code in. Here, I'm in my user directory currently. I can type pwd, print working directory. It tells me I'm in /home/Chris, which is my home directory. And I'm going to make a directory, mkdir, called, not Chris, called code, where I'm just going to store my code. So let me go into that directory now. Let me cd down into code. And if I do an ls, there's nothing here yet. Okay, so I'm going to need to create a file. Let me go ahead and I can easily open Atom from the command line here by just saying Atom dot, and that will open Atom in as the current directory as the active workspace. Okay, I've got these welcome guides. Let me kill them. While I have Atom open here, like before, I'm going to lock it to the launcher. And up here, I'm just going to select File, New File, and then I'm going to save it as hello.py. So .py is the extension we're going to use for all of our Python files. And that does a couple of things. One is it indicates to anybody using this file that it's a Python file and that there's Python code inside of it. It also tells Atom how to treat it. So it tells Atom that, when it decides what syntax highlighting to use, that it should use Python-based syntax highlighting. There's one more thing I want to do before I move on, which is to check some of the settings within Atom. There's a couple that are important to Python. So in the edit menu here, we can go down to preferences. And then just in the main settings pane, the core settings that opens up, scroll all the way down to the bottom. And recall that Python is particular about white space. We use indentations and white space to signify function bodies, loop bodies, conditional bodies, etc. So we care about white space a lot in Python, and generally, the recommended tab length, how wide a tab appears in your file, should be 4 for Python files in most situations. So by default in Atom it's 2. Let's change it to 4. Additionally, the tab type here, this is also important. We're not going to change this. There's 3 values of tab type: auto, soft, and hard. Soft tab means that when you hit the tab key, it's going to insert spaces instead of an actual tab character. And in this case, it's going to insert 4 spaces because our tab length is 4. If you had hard tabs set, that would insert an actual tab character every time you hit the tab key. A tab character, you can think of that just as like a space character that's wider, or a new line character. It's a character that it's a non-display character. It consists of white space, but it has a special value. So typically \t is the way you would write it if you needed to explicitly put that somewhere in your code. But so that would be hard tabs. So we don't want to use hard tabs. Generally, Python files use soft tabs, but if you set it to auto, that's going to be kind of more compatible with other things. So if you're using other programming languages and they're using hard tabs, Atom will be good at switching back and forth. All right, so now in my Hello Py file, I'm just going to do a simple Hello World program. And I'm going to hit Control S to save. You can also save from the file menu. Now I'm going to go back to my terminal, and I'm going to just do a little ls to make sure I'm in the right spot. I have my Hello Py file right there, and I can type Python 3 hello.py, and that will run that program, and it'll print the output to the terminal right there for us. Notice one thing I did there. You might have noticed I typed HEL, and then all of a sudden the rest of the file name appeared. I hit the tab key there. Tab completion is really useful when you're in terminal environments. It basically allows the terminal to look around and say, is there a file name or is there a program that matches this what you've typed already uniquely? And if so, let me go ahead and finish that for you. In this case, there's only one file in the current directory that starts HELL, so it knows that it has to finish it with o.py. So tab completion is a useful thing as well. I can also run this particular program with just Python 2, and in this case, they run the exact same way. Okay, great, that's it. So you can now run Python code with both versions of Python in your Linux machine, and you can write code in Atom and go to town. Good luck.